Hello and welcome to the Perth Gaming Crew Show. My name is Jonathan, and today I'm joined by my co-host in Gaming Crime, Johnny. How you doing today, Johnny?
Doing well, John. It's been a minute since we've caught up. How have you been during the break?
Good. Not as much gaming as I wanted to get in. Lots of events, but plenty of downtime otherwise. Summertime here, so yes, we've starved the people of Perth and beyond from our podcast, but we are back. So this is our first episode for the year, everyone, of course. Just a couple of things that we wanted to put out there before we go ahead. Today we're covering the Switch 2 reveal, the Xbox Developer Direct, and a little bit about what we've been playing over the summer. Do check out our website at perthgamingcrew.com. And also just we do continue to get guests on our show. So we've got some guests lined up for February, and we're going to do some episodes around indie gaming, around graphics and gaming and the PS5 Pro. So if you like what we do contact us through Insta or through the website, and we're happy to give people who are regular gamers like Johnny and I some podcasting experience and get in on it, because it's going to be a huge year this year. Also, just want to do a quick shout out to the Palace Arcade in Northbridge, over in Perth. It's a great place to check out. It's like a bit of a bar, but also has like classic arcades and pinballs. I hung out with the venue manager there, Darren, and one of our previous guests, Ludley. Yeah, it's just somewhere to check out that's really nice, and there's a post on our Insta account about it. I'll put an article on the website as well, just some more information. Hope you're enjoying your summer, people in Perth and beyond. But hey, let's get into it. Johnny, what a big start to the year it is. And as much as we are itching to talk about the Switch 2 and the Xbox Developer Direct, I think we need to ease ourselves into it and say, what have we been up to carry us over that kind of holiday period? Because so many games have been out there. What have you been up to, Johnny?
Well, I've certainly been, making the most of the current Switch over the break, and I'm actually about 3/4 of the way through Metroid Prime Remastered at the moment. And this is a game I'm thoroughly enjoying. And this is noting that I've actually, I've played this game several times. This is a game I played in its original GameCube release over 20 years ago. But then again, when it was repackaged as part of the Metroid Prime trilogy for the Wii. And I'm deep in the Phazon Mines section of the game at the moment,
Cool.
which is one of, as those familiar with the game, is one of the final areas of the game to explore. And I think I'm at the point now where I've got almost all of Samus's abilities. I think I'm short maybe the final suit, the Phazon suit, which lets you go through the Phazon areas with freedom. So I've really been enjoying this. Been playing it during my holidays. People around me have been friends have been seeing this game and going, "Well, what is this?" Because it's not a game everyone is familiar with. But for a game that is effectively over 20 years old, it's really held up well. And this remaster that came out on the Switch in 2023 has done it a lot of favors. It's just added some polish to what was fundamentally just a fantastic game. John, I know you're a fan of Metroid Prime, and I think you've played the remaster. Do you have sort of any sort of fond memories of the game?
I'm just pleased that you're playing it again. I think it's just such a timely pick as well. I've got my Metroid shirt on. I'm all geared up and ready to go. So I played this when it was first announced for the Switch and released. I had this on the GameCube originally, one of my favorite GameCube games. It's a game that has held up remarkably over 20 years, did you say? I think it must have been
I'm going to
multiple
say
generations.
2002, the original GameCube release.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible, because the remaster, and people debate whether it's a remake or a remaster. It's that in between. Like the graphics have been enhanced, but some areas have been remade. Like you look at the opening area with the Queen Parasite, one of the Queen Parasites that's dead, and there's the fire around it, and the shadows and lighting there is just incredible. Yeah, it's a gorgeous game, and of course we've got Metroid Prime 4 coming up this year. So this is the best gear up. I was going to ask you where you're up to in the game. Like my favorite kind of like iconic area is like the Chozo Ruins, just because I love the soundtrack, and that's where you kind of first get into like the using the morph ball, going through the pipes, and then like doing like the kind of like a U pipe skateboard morph ball puzzles.
Half pipes,
Oh, so good. But yeah, are you playing this just to get ready for Metroid Prime 4, or were you just missing it and wanting a bit of Prime, or what was...
Obviously, with Metroid Prime 4 Beyond coming out this year, I just wanted to get back into the spirit of first-person Metroid action. I love all three games in the trilogy. I think they're all fantastic, but the original has just got this charm to it, and the ability to play it on the Switch, and also play this version that has just got all these little touches, like when and this is a really small thing, but like when Samus blasts a surface, you get this little glow. They've added little touches like that. There's a few other little things that you notice as you go through. I think some of the character models this could be in my imagination completely, but I feel like some of the character models, like the space pirates and things like that, maybe have a little bit more definition on them than they did in the
I actually think they do.
Original,
I think they do. Yeah, they definitely do.
But I'm in that section where you're running that gauntlet where you're you come up against all the space pirates that have reverse engineered Samus's beam weapons. So I'm working my way through that, and I think I've just gotten to the section where you fight like the super pirate or whatever it's called, mega pirate or whatever.
Like the gigantic ones. So
it's pretty cool. It's getting me very hyped for Metroid Prime 4 for sure.
Actually, just seeing this footage play while we talk and hearing you talk about it, I definitely want to get into it as well before Metroid Prime 4 comes out. And I just keep thinking about all the little bits about how this 3D transition, it was just done so well, like the spider ball. Like I remember there's a couple of puzzles with the spider ball where you're going along like the roof or like the high up on a wall, and then you drop onto another part of the spider wall track, and you've got to like cling on, and you're like, oh, I've got to catch it and keep going. Or even just like the boss fight. I don't know if it's Flagra, but it was the big plant one. Is it the same Flagra as in Super Metroid? Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I think it's kind of inspired by something, one of the Super Metroid bosses. But yeah, that's one you come up against really early, and very kind of it's all about the timing and keeping Flagra off balance while you roll around.
Using your local recent acquisitions, like should we say, like using your just like it's for anyone who hasn't played Metroid Prime, like we've done Switch exclusive special episodes before. We dive into it more there, but it's a fantastic game to pick up, regardless of what kind of console you're into. I can't wait to get into it again, Johnny.
Good stuff. Yeah. What have you been? What have you been doing to stay out of the heat? And been making much use of the Switch, Jono?
So I have. Like I wrapped up with Lords of the Fallen at the end of last year, and I needed to move on to like a lighter, positive Nintendo game after like a Dark Souls heavy kind of game. Anyone who is following Nintendo at the moment beyond the Switch 2, it's all about the Donkey Kong remaster, Donkey Kong Country HD, Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, which I'm keen to get into. I know a lot of people have been complaining that it's coming late and they're finally getting into it. But it'll sell well. People love it. And I never played it, so we'll get into that. But in between, there is another Donkey Kong game. It's the only other actual like Donkey Kong game that came out on the Switch. And a lot of people don't know about it, technically because it's DLC to Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. So this is the Donkey Kong Adventure component, which is a 12-hour DLC addition to that game. I've had my eye on it, Johnny, for 6 years. So when it came out in 2018, I've kind of looked at it and gone, is it my kind of thing? Is it my kind of thing? And finally, with all the Donkey Kong stuff coming up now, I've wanted to revisit this. And fair to say, it's a fantastic game. Like I do like, so this is a tactical game that's much like XCOM, but it's not just XCOM with a Donkey Kong skin. It's very much its own Donkey Kong feeling game. So for example, there is like light traversal elements in between the battles, and you'll use the barrels to blast around from like island to island or area to area, or you'll collect bananas, which are used to your weapon upgrades. And you'll see a bunch of Easter eggs in the background, like you'll see some of the animals from the first Donkey Kong Country games in the SNES in the background, or you might see something from another game and go, "Oh, I know what you've done there." I don't want to spoil too many, but this is definitely a game that I'd recommend if you are a Donkey Kong fan. Play it, because as a game on its own, it plays really well. Like, it onboards you with the tactics element. And if you haven't read the reviews, this is a game that's scored really high too. It plays really well. You're straight into the action. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's quite hilarious. So for example, like Donkey Kong's a powerhouse on the battlefield, and you can use these bongos to suck enemies in, and they just do this really idiotic dance mixed with their Rabbid kind of DNA. It just looks hilarious. And then he can ground pound to knock them out of the arena. So the way you would expect Donkey Kong to be infused into another genre is what you see here. And I love it when you see like a cross-genre infusion of a game. I mean, one more thing, like Cranky Kong's in there, Rabid Cranky Kong, and one of his moves is like to tell a long story, which sends the enemies to sleep. So it's just like if you love Donkey Kong, and I Donkey Kong is one of my most loved franchise, as much if not more than Metroid. It speaks to you as a fan. The music, the visuals, yeah, I've loved it. Have you seen this game, Johnny?
I'm aware of it, of course. I haven't dived into the Rabbids stuff myself, but I can definitely see this as, if you're looking for some more, if you're a lover of DK in particular, if you're looking for some more DK content to get into, this looks like quite a good choice.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is for fans. And there's also, it comes off the base game, which is Mario. So if you're a Mario fan, it's Mario, Luigi, and there's a sequel game out there too. I think has a demo on the
There
eShop.
is a sequel, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, sparks of hope. So no, great little games. Again, really cool Switch exclusives. But enough of us, Johnny. The people of Perth and beyond want to know. The Switch 2 is out. It's called the Switch 2. We finally got a trailer reveal. Leaks aplenty. Like, there's just, it was swimming. I just couldn't walk anywhere. There's just leaks everywhere. We were, Johnny and I were going back and forth thinking it's going to be coming any day, or is it coming later? But it's out and about. A very short trailer, about a minute and a half. It's out, and Nintendo has announced with the direct, with the release trailer, that they'll be doing a full direct presentation in April. I think it's the 2nd of April, which will include, of course, like the launch lineup. I would expect there'd be pricing, all of those things. But Johnny, tell me your thoughts. Like, when you saw this trailer, what did you think, and how are you feeling about it?
Oh, look, it was definitely like, it was kind of almost like a relief to get the official trailer, because through the first half of January, the just leaks were getting kind of just stupid, and like it was just, you couldn't avoid them. Like, it was just constantly in your face almost at one point. So it was cool, really nice just to have the official reveal. Obviously, you got to see what it looks like, and it's very much an iteration on the Switch. Nintendo, after having this really successful generation, they are not going and doing anything too crazy, which is you expect, but it's got a couple of little kind of neat features, like the a kind of more durable kickstand for tabletop mode. Looks like it's, they're doing a bit of quality of life kind of stuff with a larger screen and larger Joy-Cons. I was kind of interested in the feature they kind of briefly tease, where you can kind of use the new Joy-Con in as almost like a mouse. So there's some interesting things. It would be really interesting to see how that all works in the 2 April Direct. But yeah, it was good to sort of see it, and your
Happy
thoughts,
camper.
John?
Yeah, look, I thought it was kind of masterful the way they addressed the leaks, and they gave us like this 2-minute clip to look at it and say, look, we know the leaks are out there. And I think it was clever in the sense that this is what, we did a predictions episode on this, and I know a lot of people were predicting this model, and it makes sense to do this. Like, the creation of the Switch was a novel gaming system. We have the Steam Deck now, PlayStation's done their like streaming portable. Xbox is looking into a handhold. They know this. They've created again. Nintendo has innovated and created a market, and it's relief from the leaks, like you said, but it's also that relief of like, oh, they haven't screwed it up. It's not the Wii U 3 or whatever, and it's not just like a fully mouse, operated game. I mean, maybe the new Mario Kart will come out and it'll be all mouse-based driving and we'll hate it. I doubt it.
I doubt it.
But
no.
yeah, exactly. It sort of goes, we know what you wanted. It's going to be a more powerful system. It's larger. It's got like the magnetic Joy-Cons that look stable and aren't going to drift out of control. It's got a nice pro look to it, I think. Like it's kind of got like a next model look. Like I think if there was a Switch Pro that was released, and I know we got the OLED, this is what they would have envisioned. But cleverly, like they held off until the end of generation because it's worth being in the next generation. For me personally, I love the Joy-Con. Like I actually really liked the like under red and under kind of blue that's in under the like the joystick, just the Joy-Con. It looks, I know. Like I was curious about how they're going to do it. Like, is it going to be plain white, plain black? Are they going to do it according to like a big game and then use those colors? But I just think they nailed it completely in terms of my expectation as a gamer and a Nintendo fan. Johnny, what did you think of the little glimpse of Mario Kart footage we got in there?
Yeah, look, not terribly surprising given that Mario Kart 8 and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe have been so successful for the Switch that I mean, I think it's safe to say that, well, it's probably very likely for that what we were seeing there is the first glimpse at Mario Kart 9. And yeah, Mario Kart is always just a winner in every generation. So it looks very slick. Yeah, you can't go wrong with Mario Kart.
No,
pretty hard to screw up Mario Kart, I think. So
yeah, I feel like they were sending a message too, because I mean, one of the biggest dilemmas like they kind of had is like Mario Kart 8 still sells as one of the best games on the Switch, and I thought they might actually just continue it on the Switch 2 for a couple of years until it completely died off, and then bring out the new one a year or two in to kind of boost sales or keep them going. But it's clear that they're saying, no, we know what the internet is saying. We know you want a new Mario Kart. And I do expect this will be an exclusive, because at the end of the trailer, they talked about some games will be backward compatible and some will be switched to exclusives, which again, I think is smart, because even like for me, again, as like a diehard Nintendo fan, I didn't buy the Switch when it first came out. I wanted to see that it was value for money. Like I wanted to know there was a pipeline of games coming. It controlled well. It got good reviews. So I just think it was masterful the way they did this direct. And then they've also said, in April, that's when we're getting the full reveal. And then I would expect people in the internet are saying June. I think that's pretty accurate, like within that 2 to 3 month window, because there's no point dragging out to the end of the year and throwing out just Xenoblade Chronicles X or, Donkey Kong HD. Like they've got to wrap up the generation and say, no, this is the time to shine.
And over May through June, I think they'll be doing these hands-on events around the world.
Yes, yeah.
And this includes Australia. They've scheduled some hands-on events in, I think it's 10 to 11 May in Australia.
Yeah.
They've got like a lottery system to get a ticket to that, much like other Nintendo events. Fingers and toes crossed. I've submitted a lottery ticket to get an early look at Switch 2. But so if that comes up, viewers from Perth and beyond will be the first to hear about it.
Absolutely. Do you feel a bit like you're in a Willy Wonka movie, Johnny, just thinking, get me in there, it'd just be so exciting.
I'm just hanging out the candy shop, trying to get that golden ticket, much like Charlie Bucket.
As you should. I think it's like a very worthy cause. People of Perth and beyond, we, when the April Direct comes, we will do full coverage of it. If you're interested in our speculations of what might be coming, we did an episode on that last year about how this would look in some of the games, or expectations and what we want. But it's looking really good. I do have one last question for you, Johnny, is like, just seeing this trailer, has that changed the way you see the Switch too? Like, has this made you want to buy it day one, or you're already going to buy it day one? Or is it kind of like, I've got to wait for the full trailer reveal, like the full direct in April, to know
kind
what
of
Nintendo's doing.
I kind of need to see what what the confirmed launch
Mm.
titles games are. Because like you, I didn't jump on the Switch straight away. It took a while for me to jump on the Switch. It was only I only got into it at the end of 2018 after Smash was released. So Super
Yeah.
Smash Ultimate, of course. So and then the Ultimate like Edition Switch. So I'm of two minds. Do I jump straight in? If the lineup of launch games is really appealing, then I'm very likely to do that. If not, I'm probably more likely to, I'll hang out and see what kind of wacky special editions they put out after the first 6 months. You know, it'll really depend on the games. It's always about the games at the end of the day. And one thing I wanted to say is that what I love about the the reveal of the hardware itself is great because then it shifts all the focus on rumors and leaks and stuff from hardware to a great extent. It shifts it to the software, to the apps, the killer apps, and that's kind of fun because that's more interesting to me than like the what the specifications are. Like that stuff, just after a while, I'll sort of tune out. But like speculation, and we'll get to this soon. But there's even while we were waiting to jump on today, I was looking at the speculation of that Switch 2 might play the new Doom game, for example. So all
Interesting.
that sort of
Yeah.
speculation is in full force at the moment now, and I think that's kind of a good thing. We moved off the speculation about what the specifications are going to be and moved on to what the games are going to be, which is a cool bit.
Yeah, good point. I mean, like it addressed the leaks, and then like people can get excited about what's coming. And I think like Nintendo is really smart in how they do their launch lineups, and they know what big games will come. Like they put Mario Kart out there, but all they need is a couple of big third parties, especially if they launch in June, July. Take us through the end of the year. You've got a new Mario Kart game, potentially a game like Doom, or even games like Elden Ring. Or Metaphor, just some of the big third-party games, and I think that's enough to get a lot of people in and on board. For me, I am curious to see how this integrates with Metroid Prime 4. I actually don't mind if Metroid Prime 4 releases on the old Switch. And looks the same across the two consoles, because I don't know that it will be helpful to release two versions of the game. When people go into JB Hi-Fi or they go to wherever they buy the games on Amazon and go, oh, there's this version, that one's $20 more. I say that, but at the same time, if this came out with Metroid Prime 4, I'd want the juicier one. But I think back to Breath of the Wild releasing on the Wii U and the Nintendo Switch. So I'm curious to see what they do there. For me, it would probably need a killer app or a couple of killer apps to get it, or a specific edition. Like if there was a Metroid Prime 4 Switch 2, purple Joy-Con, ode to the GameCube origins, I'd be in there in a heartbeat. Whereas if they just brought like the new Mario Kart out, I might hang around for that until the end of the year when a couple of other games come out. It's exciting times ahead.
No, it's good. 2025 is going to be a good year for gamers.
Massive year. Speaking of, so we were off for what, 3 or 4 weeks, and within the first month of the year, not only have we got a Switch 2 reveal, but Microsoft is on fire. They had an Xbox Developer Direct, which is expected, and it's something they've done in previous years. If you haven't gone and watched it, go check it out, because a lot of their games will go to PlayStation, potentially the Switch 2, or even the current Switch. In my view, it was a really excellent direct. They only cover a limited amount of games, but I think the beauty of these things is they focus on the developers themselves, and you see like the passion of the developers come through. You see their workplaces and all that. But in terms of the developer direct, there was probably a clear couple of standouts for us. Johnny, where would you like to start? Like, so for the record, people of Perth, like I'm the Xbox gamer here, and Johnny's getting closer every day to buying that massive PC to play Game Pass and to play everything on with Civ 7 on the horizon.
Look,
but
if the viewers of Perth and beyond would be astounded if they've seen some of the back of the envelope finance calculations I've been doing to try and keep the door open for a new PC rig, but I'm very much on the cusp of going down like a PC route for a lot of these Microsoft releases. And look, before I'd even watched the Xbox presentation, which full disclosure I didn't get to straight away. Was out and about and doing other things. But before I even got to it, I did see the news about Ninja Gaiden 4. And I haven't played any of the modern Ninja Gaiden games. I'm very much, but I'm an old school NES Ninja Gaiden fan. The first 3 games were incredibly difficult, but incredible. And particularly the first 2, and the second one is probably my favorite. So this actually got me quite excited, and thought, oh, maybe it's time for me to like dip into the modern Ninja Gaiden series finally, because they showed quite a lot, and they've introduced a new character into the new protagonist into the series. They're sort of adding more depth to the Ninja Gaiden lore, but they're not scrapping. They're still keeping the Ryu Hayabusa kind of character. He's still involved and important, but they're kind of adding texture to the series. So yeah, this looked really cool. I can't lie, it's probably increased my motivation to get my butt into gear in terms of accessing these Microsoft games on a system that can really do them justice. Were you impressed by Ninja Gaiden 4, Jono?
Yeah, look, this was, and look, coming into this year, for me, it was all about the Switch too. So as I mentioned, I've got an Xbox Series X and I've got the Switch, and I've previously had the PlayStation 4 and other consoles, but we can't have everything and do everything. This is probably my most anticipated game of the year now. This was an incredibly exciting surprise. So I didn't play the classic games like you did, Johnny. I only ever saw and heard about them, and I actually haven't gone back to experience them. And I was curious to hear your take on this, because we did that episode on most memorable stories, and you had covered Ninja Gaiden with its cutscenes. So it's there in my little backlog of games to go. I need to try that, because I think the DNA again of that game is in the modern games, and I've only ever played the modern games. 2 being my favorite. It was on the Xbox 360, and it was it was an incredible like character-driven third-party action game. You really feel like a ninja samurai type character. You're just so fast, so fluid, so deadly. You move so quickly, and when you watch the game footage, you kind of think, oh, I can't play that kind of game. Maybe it's like a Souls-like, or it's intimidating, but when you play it, it all clicks together. The most exciting for me thing about this was like there were no leaks, really. There was some sort of speculation, but there was no leaks. And this is being developed by Koei Tecmo, who is one of my favorite developers. I loved what they did with Fire Emblem Three Houses. I like what they did with Hyrule Warriors for the Switch. But this is being funded as an Xbox Studio game and paid for by Xbox, essentially, with Platinum Games at the helm. And Platinum Games is an absolutely exceptional developer. They do one of my favorite series on the Switch, Bayonetta 1, 2, and 3. I've got all those games. I think they're all great. 2's my favorite. They've done Nier Automata, and they've done Astral Chain. We covered Astral Chain on one of our exclusive series again. They just have this pedigree in character action games like no other company. So it's kind of like if someone said to you, this series has been missing in action for years, what would be your dream? It'd be like, oh, if only imagine if they gave it to Platinum Games and the 4th one came out, and it didn't have like a 5-year wait time for it. It's like that. It's absolutely incredible. As for the game itself, like I like that there's a new protagonist, like Yakumo, but you'll also get to see Hayabusa Ryu in action as well, which is great because he was like the star of the first 3 games anyway. And then what I'm seeing in the trailer here is it looks great. It looks as good as I need this game to. It might not look as good as like God of War Ragnarok or Hellblade 2, but it doesn't need to. Like it looks like the use of color and lighting and dark, and then just like all the like particle effects and special effects. That's exactly what I expect from this kind of game. Seeing there's a couple of segments where you'll see Yukumo like going down like this, like skating down like this breaking path, and then later on in the developer interview themselves, he's like going on another rail really quick. So there's a really big focus they mentioned in the developer direct on verticality. It's just, look, it's doing everything right. Simple as that. So I'm extremely excited for this game. I love Ninja Gaiden 2. And then, as part of this, they announced Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. By the way, we're just going to recreate the whole thing in Unreal Engine 5. And this was available on the Master Chief Collection, which had 1, 2, and 3, which came out maybe 4 years ago, which I actually didn't buy. Just too many games to play. But I had to get through that Donkey Kong Kingdom Rabbids game from 2018 first. So when this came out, just first of all, it looks incredible and it looks true to the original second game. And you could start here. Like, if you want a game to play now, Johnny, or anyone out there listening, jump on it. This is what 4 will probably look and feel like. 4 will be more advanced and better. Wonderful game in its own right. Yeah, the fact that it's been just Shadow Drop 2 was a massive win for the Developer Direct. Again, it was just like, what's Microsoft going to bring? And I kind of thought they'd bring over Final Fantasy, and we knew Square Enix has been talking about Final Fantasy, so that was less exciting as a prediction for me. But to get 4 and then a remade, like, because it looks very much remade to me. Like, I remember very clearly what the second game looked like on 360, and it was like cutscenes and gameplay did not look that good. It just didn't. Very, very exciting and a massive start to the year. But yeah, even you seeing this footage of the second game, Johnny, does this look good to you? Like, as a modern game?
Yeah, it seems like a great way to get into the modern Ninja Gaiden games is to check out this remaster.
Yeah.
So it's definitely, they're doing a good job to draw me in with this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I have to get that PC a little earlier, but
you got to hurry up.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that was the beauty of the Developer Direct as a whole. Like, it showed that Xbox gamers have good games coming in the first half of the year, and we'll come back to that. It was just great overall.
It's a good little balance there, because you do have to wait a little bit for the release of Ninja Gaiden 4. It's probably going to be sometime like September, October, I would have guessed. And so in the meantime, here's Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. Get into it. Helps you kind of get you kind of hyped for Ninja Gaiden 4.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's a great start to the year for anyone who's keen on the franchise or just looking to play something new. Likewise, Johnny, I think the biggest pick from the Developer Direct for us is absolutely, and look, probably most people too, unsurprisingly, gamers from back in the day and modern gamers, is Doom: The Dark Ages. We got a really nice look at the game. It's going to be quite different to previous Doom games, but just seeing the trailer, I couldn't criticize anything about it. It kind of delivers everything I want from like a medieval Doom. Visually, it looks even better than Doom and Doom Eternal somehow. It probably look like one of the best looking games I've seen of the modern era. Like, just the level of detail and the space of the levels. I think they've done some really clever things here. So for those of you who haven't watched the Developer Direct, the developers were talking about making this like, the other game, the Doom games, are all different. The previous one was really fast paced, but this one is more like your chunky knight, like just big, massive melee attacks. You've got to like do those dodges. You're parrying with the saw shield, which is the saw shield. And I just like, when he winds up the saw shield like a lawnmower, it's like, oh, I mean, it's more exciting than mowing the lawn, but it reminded me of like when you go like do the old lawnmower pull kind of thing. It was just like, he just like gets his saw shield going. I was like, Doom fans are eating good. Johnny, what did you think of the trailer?
Yeah, I'm calling it now. I think in 2025, in May, we're going to be at peak Doom.
Yeah. It's going to be the apocalypse in gaming, isn't it? It's just going to be the talk of the town. Hey.
No, it looks really cool. I love how they've got all sorts of different mechanics. Like, there's an aerial sort of dragon that you can, cybernetic dragon, I think they said,
with the Gatling gun, gun attached, as there should be.
And there's like a mech mode where you can kind of take on sort of your sort of more gigantic scale enemies.
Kaiju style Doom.
Yeah,
what else?
Yeah. Oh, it's just that looks like it's gonna be so much fun.
Yeah.
And you only have to wait till May for this. This is really not that long to wait for.
No, not at all. And again, like, this is like a cross-platform game Microsoft Studio developed. I mean, for me as an Xbox game, I'm glad this is coming to everything and everyone, as it should. I can see this just taking that big spot, like you said, in May, and everyone going, right, we need to try Doom. And look, I don't know how people feel about Doom games, whether you're more into Animal Crossing or Pokemon or whatever. Give it a go. Like, if you can handle the decapitations and all that stuff, like these games are just raw fun in my view. I also did just want to mention I loved what they did with the enemy design. I think I saw like a demon on like a demonic steed. It was all very medieval. Looks gorgeous. Looks fantastic. And then the third game that Johnny and I were kind of keen to talk about. So there was a fourth game, Clair Obscura, but we're going to pass on that because we're not as big fans of that genre and that particular game. But if you are, go for it. Probably the third one that stood out to us was South of Midnight. And I think, I have to double check this, but I think this might be an Xbox exclusive because they're still in that transition phase. But to me, this looked really good. So I was quite aware of this game when they first showed it years ago, and they just showed Hazel, the protagonist, playing the banjo in the deep south of America. No gameplay, and then we got more gameplay last year, and there's been a couple of previews. But this game is really interesting to me because I don't think we see many games in this setting, the deep south of America. Certainly the art style is gorgeous. Like if you're into Spider-Man, like the latest Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movies. And what's the Ninja Turtles one, Johnny? I think you're a bit of a fan on the new Ninja Turtles animated movie that has this kind of stop motion look about it.
Oh
Is it
yeah,
Ninja?
yeah. That's we talked about it on the show last
Yeah,
Halloween.
yeah. Mutant Mayhem is the
New
game or
Mayhem,
something.
yeah, Mayhem, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, artistically and graphically, for me as a gamer, I don't need a game to look better than this. Like I quite like that it almost looks like marionette puppets mixed with like clay animation, mixed with that kind of Spider-Man style. Looks beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and just I found this of all of them because I think like it was really like exciting to get the Ninja Gaiden reveal. And I was just glued to the TV
Mm.
like when that was on. And then the Doom one, it was so nice to go in depth and go, right, now we can see more of this mechanic and this mechanic. But for me, I really liked watching this developer kind of developer direct part because the developers were just talking about how they're using the whole setting as a character. And they hadn't explored this part like in gaming culture before. So yeah, this looks really good to me. I don't think it's going to be like a 10 out of 10 top seller, but something certainly to play on Game Pass if you've got Game Pass. And this is probably on my list of like, oh, I want to check it out. Like I want to see reviews first, but I think it looks good. What did you make of this, Johnny? Like, have you seen South of Midnight before? And
I hadn't come across this, but it just struck me as being highly original. So yeah, I'm very like you, kind of intrigued, and yeah, be keen to see more of it and see how it's reviewed. I think.
Yeah, absolutely. There was like the initial trailer showed a lot of the story elements, but when you go in to watch the developer direct, they go into the combat and they talk about like the Weaver magic that Hazel uses to unravel enemies and then to release them and all this kind of stuff, and how that it's worked into boss fights as well, which looked incredible. The boss fights are kind of come from this like Gothic South mythos, which was quite interesting. So yeah, I do think this game will appeal to a lot of people, and it appeals to me purely because it looks like you can see they're doing what they really want to do with this game, and I've not seen this kind of like location and era and culture explored. So yeah, I'll keep an eye on this one. This one comes out in April, so with Doom in May, South of Midnight April, Ninja Gaiden 2, the basically remake remaster, is out now, and then you've got Ninja Gaiden 4 coming out in the fall for America. So like you said, Johnny, that's September, October-ish is what we're looking at.
Yeah, like the Northern Hemisphere autumn, fall. Yeah, so
Yeah,
keep an eye out for that sort of time of year for Ninja Gaiden.
absolutely. Yeah, but look, the other thing I just want to mention too is like, yeah, I did think it was a successful developer direct. This is not just the full games lineup for what's coming to the Xbox for the rest of the year. This is the first half. So we will see that Xbox showcase June, July, like we have the last couple of years. And I would expect some of the bigger players like Fable to show up there, potentially the latest Gears of War game again. So I guess like coming off last year as someone who owns an Xbox, I was feeling pretty lethargic with like the closure of studios, and we did see Indiana come out, which is great. But there was nothing much. There was really nothing much in the first half of the year until we got Hellblade 2 around May, and even then that came to mixed reviews. Whereas now, finally, 4 years in, 5 years in, we're seeing Microsoft Studios deliver on the dream of like, here's a steady cadence of games, like we're seeing from Nintendo.
And correct me if I'm mistaken, John, but these will all be on Microsoft Game Pass, right?
Correct. And really, Game Pass is the brand. Like, there was that questionable Xbox campaign last year where they talked about everything's an Xbox. If you got Game Pass, PC, you're a little Xbox, or your toy car that plays Game Pass, go do it. Whatever works. But look, that's what we have for the show this week.
One little thing, John, I forgot to mention is it's a bit of a segue from our Switch 2 discussion. But while we're waiting for Switch 2, the current Switch is still dropping a few little bangers here and there, particularly through their Nintendo Switch Online service.
Yes.
Within a day of the Xbox Developer Direct, Nintendo told us that they're dropping a couple of new SNES games onto the Switch Online service, including Fatal Fury 2, which is a beloved entry into the Fatal Fury series. Introduced a couple of new characters into the series. And then also, it's almost as if they were trolling Xbox and Koei Tecmo. They dropped Super Ninja Boy, which is an old SNES classic.
Why play Ninja Gaiden when you can play Super Ninja Boy?
It's almost like
because everyone's going to do that.
It's almost like they're trolling. But yeah, couple of neat little additions to the online service for Nintendo. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty neat. Even as we winding down the Switch generation, there's still a couple of bangers dropping.
Yeah, no, that's a good point too, because I think Nintendo has made a point to say we're going to use the online service to carry people over to the next generation. So it's good that there's that continuity for like new and existing Nintendo Switch fans. Good shout out, Johnny. Before we go, I do want to ask what you think you will be playing over the next month or two as well. Just very briefly, is it focusing on finishing Prime and getting to the final boss, which I would love to talk about, but we can't spoil?
Yeah, no, I definitely want to wrap up my run through Prime while I'm still kind of still got the kind of atmospherics of it all. Like, because I find that if I leave a game too long and go off to something else, I'll lose the momentum, and I really want to just push through to that final boss, which is a great final boss.
Love it.
A couple of final bosses kind of that are really iconic in the Metroid series. So I think I like to sort of wrap that up. But after that, I'm probably going to be, and I will talk more about this next time. I'm going to be kind of playing through some of my favorite indie releases, and in some cases, games that I've been playing for a long time without realizing they were by indie publishers, which we can get stuck into in our next episode in early Feb.
Sounds awesome. Yeah, it's going to be indie games for me. Probably Kingdom 2 Crowns. I'm not sure. There's a few to select from in preparation from our indie special. I think it's like a part 3 that we're doing. So keep an eye on that, people of Perth. If you do like what you're seeing, do hit that like button or subscribe. It really helps us out. We're just like a small podcast, but we do just want to get out there and have a lot of fun with our viewers. So thanks for joining us on today's episode. That's all from me. Great one. See you later to the people of Perth and beyond. Catch you later.